Squash is a staple when it comes to fall and winter veggies, but it can be intimidating to prepare. So our first guest today is showing us how easy it is to enjoy squash once you decide which variety is your favorite. We welcome back cooking instructor Jessica Hansen. Happy fall.
Well, thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Thank you. It's very representative of fall on this table, and it's super
I
exciting.
love it. We are celebrating the season every single day that we can here.
Absolutely. And that's what we try to do on the farm. We raise a bunch of different varieties of squash, mostly so that we can teach people that it's not just about butternut squash.
Yeah.
In fact, you don't see any of the butternut squash here, except, believe it or not, this one. So that is a butternut squash, just a different variety.
It looks like a pumpkin to me.
Right, but it's pretty enough to be at the table, but it's also, if it's kept at a decent temperature, below 70 degrees, it's curing right now, getting better, which all these winter squash continue to develop their flavor and texture as they cure. So that's a butternut squash, for instance. We've got this is a really interesting looking squash, I must have, and that's called a pancetta, and that is an Italian squash. We're going to be roasting that tonight to stuff some stuffed pasta, because it's a little bit drier and denser.
I love that.
This is just an acorn squash, but it's just got a different color. So have you ever cut an acorn squash in half and filled it with stuff and baked it?
Not personally.
You can. You've seen that before, I'm sure.
Someone has served it to me.
Right, so that's an easy one, just to be able to get right inside of it. And so you can either roast it just like this, not eating the skin, but easy to take the seeds out and go ahead and enjoy the flesh of that. It's got a creamy texture.
Cool.
There's red curry. A lot of people know about this one, which is a kabocha squash. This has probably the creamiest texture, and you can eat the skin. As unattractive as it might seem, it's very often, it's called a Japanese pumpkin, and very often like tempura fried, so you're eating the skin where you're going to get a lot of nutrients.
I was going to say, there's always nutrients in the skin if you can eat it.
The more you can eat of a vegetable, the better. And then this one, you wouldn't want to eat the skin, but this is a Blue Hubbard. We grew this on the farm, still with dirt intact. This has got fantastic texture, and from a yield perspective, there's just so much squash there. So if you can find a way to eat it, this one has a slight bit of graininess to the texture, so it's best pureed and turned into soups, and then it's absolutely lovely. But my favorite go-to, and the one that sometimes people get intimidated by, is this funny one. And this is called a delicata squash. It is the first one for fall squash, so you'll start to see it come into grocery stores in August. So it's the first one, and it's because of its time on the ground. It is it has a very tender skin, and you can eat the skin. So we're just going to make a quick dish with that.
We like that for easy prep.
Right? That's why it's my favorite. It's kind of, it's for those of us who don't want to spend a ton of time trying to peel all of these fantastic varieties. So I just cut it in half down the center, and then you just take a spoon and take out the seeds. So this is not hard work, right?
I'm with you so far.
Okay, so this is going to be, it just gets easier. Once we get that done, we're just going to take it, put it flat side down, because that's the safest way to cut it. And then I'm just going to make it into half moons.
Nice.
Now, what you do with it at this point is up to you. I will say, if it is just tossed with a little bit of olive oil, which I've got a little bit of olive oil in this pan, you could put, at this point, a little bit of sugar. It's sweet on its own, but if you were trying to get everybody to eat it, a little bit of sugar and salt, maybe even cinnamon, and it's almost like, roasted at a high temperature, almost like French fries.
That's a treat.
It's so good. And so we're doing that same thing today, but we're going to make it even more nutrient dense by adding kale. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we've said two things, squash and kale. So I consider it part of my life's work to make people eat kale and squash.
It's so good for you.
Right, and this is what we call lacinato kale, or they also call it dinosaur kale. So that's kind of fun. That's a way to get people to eat it. It is fun, but it's intimidating
to prepare it if you don't know.
And the main thing, this is just the top of one of our kale plants I yanked out of the garden. But if you take this stem out, people will enjoy it. So if you can just get the leaves off of this, like just this part, then tear it up.
Oh, easy.
And it becomes, it's almost like you're pre-chewing it. It's not going to be as hard as kale can be to sometimes get through. So this is a more tender kale. And then I've just taken the squash and the kale and roasted it. So I'm going to grab it out of the oven really quickly. Now, I think you should eat this. This doesn't have cinnamon or sugar or anything,
but that immediately.
Right? So that's good. I went a little far on this and made this like a crispy kale. These are like chips. They're salty and a little bit oily.
Now you got me.
Right? So I have more and more things and reasons to eat this. So I will put this on a pan for us to roast. And this we will toss together into a nice side dish. So because of its pretty color, I think it's an awesome thing to put together for a Thanksgiving table.
It is so vibrant.
As well as just getting
Which is usually a good sign too. Lots of different colors means you're getting different kinds of nutrients for your body too.
Absolutely.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you. I love this.
So these just in and of itself, this is going to be a tasty snack, but we're going to go one step further
Yes.
and add a little bit of hazelnut vinaigrette. This is both hazelnut oil, chopped hazelnuts, a little bit of whole grain mustard, and red wine vinegar.
Yum.
So you'd eat this, right?
I love hazelnut, but I wouldn't think of it in a vinaigrette like that.
A little chunky.
I like hazelnut in my coffee. I'll just continue it throughout the day.
There's delicious hazelnuts, and of course they're local, which makes it even
Exactly.
more fun.
Oh my gosh.
This lovely side dish. Now, you could make it not so chip-like with the kale and leave it a little fresher to make it more of a salad.
Yeah.
But this is a way to ensure that everybody is going to eat it.
Yeah,
It's a little fork if you do want to try that.
Take a little
but
bite.
you've got some protein with the hazelnuts. You've got the sweetness of that squash. The squash just has a little bit of cayenne and smoked paprika on it. The recipe is, of course, on the website. But it's a great way of getting a lot of beta carotene and vitamins into your diet, and also using some of the squash that's just available in the markets and farmers markets.
Crunchy, smooth, salty, sweet, so many things. And this looks really impressive, like you worked really hard.
And you know that you're completely capable.
I saw it all happen. Do you have other squash favorites this season? Like I love a ravioli, or
I love a ravioli.
really
We're making that
versatile,
tonight.
right?
Absolutely. And soup is probably the most common way that people feel comfortable. But again, even just getting out of the comfort zone and using one of the different squashes to make a soup.
Yeah.
And then dip, using it like a hummus. So once you've roasted it, pureeing it with a little bit of olive oil,
That's
maybe
a great
some smoked
idea.
paprika, cinnamon, sweet spices, and that's great with chips or feta dip. So kind of thinking of it as the bean in a hummus.
because you could go warm or cold with that, kind of depending on
Yep, sweet or savory.
the dipping
also.
vessel. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So there's so many different options to get squash into your diet.
I'm so excited.
Right?
I might even volunteer to bring a side dish to Thanksgiving this year that I've made myself.
I would highly recommend.
You're
You've
inspiring
you've
me.
got the recipe on the website, and
I usually call someone to take care of it for me, but I think I can handle this.
this year. I think you can do it. You can do it. You've got your work.
Thank you
cut out for
so much. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
Happy fall, happy eating. And we will have this recipe and much more information on our website at ka2u.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.